Welcome to DAExMachiNation. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us on another edition of DAExMachiNation. We got three of the four boys in the house tonight. Unfortunately, Steve's at work, but we got Carry Pocket Doc Davis back from the great state of Mississippi. But he came home plus one little dog. Maybe at some point tonight, y'all will get to see him.
Yes,
The dog's name is.
it's Doc.
He's a cute little dog. And
Yeah.
Robbie Jed Rains coming to us from the waterlogged state of South Crackalacky that's been getting a lot of rain here lately.
Lots.
Well, us too, man. My backyard is still a freaking swamp.
Yeah. All the creeks were high down there, man. Good Lord.
So, Doc, how the hell are you?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
Good to have you back, brother.
Good to be back, brother. Thank you.
Me and Jed was missing you.
I was missing y'all, man. It's good to be had, as my daddy used to say. When people say it's good to have you, he says it's good to be had. So it's good to be around, and that little turkey he had a good road trip. He's velcroed his butt to Angie, so he's definitely her dog now.
Well, he's a pretty cute little pup. So maybe at some point tonight, Angie will bring him down and you can show him off.
I hope so. I think she will. I've already talked to her.
Well, hopefully he doesn't do to you what Harley did to me the other night. He was laying over here next to the computer while I was on the air, just ripping ass every chance he got.
I saw the text, and I was sitting there
laughing.
Well, he was doing a Ranger on you, because y'all remember when Ranger used to fumigate me, and I had to ooze him out.
Yeah, Harley was killing me.
Yeah, he
Hopefully you didn't have to talk too much that night.
Yeah. That is a good point.
Yeah.
So, boys, what have y'all been up to? I say, what have you been up to? And Robbie goes, and I hear, meow.
Yeah. I've been driving.
I've been working.
3,200 miles of travel in less than 7 days. I'm kind of tired.
Well, I had a pretty good checkup with my doctor.
Good.
On Monday. By and large, test results were pretty good. Said my sugars are still a little high. He's wanting to switch up some of my meds, and hopefully that'll take care of some of the fatigue I've been having, because I've been having some pretty bad fatigue. But I also started taking a ginseng supplement, so that should help combat it as well.
Good.
So gonna hopefully tonight be back on a good writing schedule. Last night I was pretty much just wiped out and didn't get much done.
Good.
But other than that, hell, my cholesterol is actually on the low side.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was astounded at that. And I asked my doctor, I said, what do you think caused that? He goes, you eat a lot of spicy food? I said, dude, I put cayenne pepper and jalapenos and just about everything. He goes, that's why.
I put pepper on my pepper.
That's right. If I make a Denver omelet, it ain't got green bell peppers. It's got jalapenos in it.
I hate green bell peppers.
Mind them in something. I can't do them by themselves. But you give me some red and yellow or orange bell peppers, them sweet bell peppers. Oh,
that's the ones I like.
I will tear them bad boys up. I cook those in almost everything I make.
Yeah, the green ones just taste bitter to me, man.
I like to take the three, the red, the orange, and the yellow bell pepper and cube them, dice them up real small, along with a big ass onion, and I make that as my base for my spaghetti sauce and my lasagna sauce. I make that as a base for a lot of stuff I make.
That's good stuff right there. Yeah, and it's like you said, it's sweet. It's not, to me, like I said, the green bell pepper is just bitter and can taste it in anything that's cooked. Yes.
Henry says, just so you know, the VA has run out of most pain meds. Just found that out. Not cool. Well, that sucks. Not that they ever did give you anything but ibuprofen and socks.
The VA running out of something. That's a shocker.
Yeah. But, you know, neither here nor there. I won't go after that particular piece of low-hanging fruit. I can pummel the VA all night for different things.
That's a target-rich environment right there, brother.
Yeah, it is. Had a Pickwick Granny sponsored the channel. Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much for becoming a member.
Thank you, Granny.
I tell you who makes some darn good salsa, and that's Miss Lene. When she was down here on vacation, me and Noah went and met her, and she gave me a jar of her homemade chunky salsa. That's some good stuff.
That sounds fine.
Made from her garden. Yeah.
That
that's one of those things that when we got home, we got out the chips, and it didn't survive the night. Well, we are going to be doing another encounter story session. We're going to read encounters and talk about them and kind of jump into the behaviors and the similarities as well as the differences in some of these stories. And we're going to be each kind of doing stories from our own region. I've got some stories picked out from right here in Missouri in the Mark Twain National Forest. Doc has got some from Colorado, the areas surrounding him, and Robbie's got some from all of the areas right there, because he lives right in the corner of the state, and he's got that surrounding area around him. So we're gonna start hitting y'all with some of those tonight, and would love to hear you guys' thoughts, and especially on the behaviors. And if you notice something that we didn't, make sure to point that out, because we would love to hear about it. So, since it's been a hot minute, well, Doc, he just got up and left. I was going to let Doc start.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, I thought I was going to have to uncork a bottle or something.
No, no. All right. So we are going to start with an encounter from Pueblo, Colorado in 2018. And this is a dogman sighting. So I know we have quite a bit of Bigfoot sightings in Colorado. There's a big map of them. And the person, let me see, she goes by Tammy. That's what she put on her report. And it is a dogman. And she starts out with, "Hi, folks. I do not want my name out on the internet because it never goes away. Anyway, a few years ago, I decided to contact the BFRO about having a Yeti Bigfoot on my place. I called them because the Yeti had the 3 toes instead of 5. I always knew that we had more than one cryptid on the place. I live on a river and have about 18 acres of land. The dogman has been sighted off of Lime Road, which also borders my river. I'm from Pueblo, Colorado, and I live on the St. Charles River, which dumps in the Arkansas River. My researchers had me put out cams to see if I catch any Bigfoot activity, and I did. And over the years, I've caught a lot of other strange creatures on the cam. I call them hybrids. My encounter started when I was 8 years old in 1969 when a huge Bigfoot stood up in front of my dad's tractor, and has continued to this day with other creatures as well. I have a pic of the dogman I caught in the river. It takes up a span of 4 feet wide. He has huge shoulders and is staring directly at the camera across from it. Yes, it is black, has ears that tip in upwards towards themselves, and scars on its face, and it appears he's not too happy about having his picture taken. I felt very vindicated when I got that pic, and I blew it up in a computer program so I could get a good look at it. And he's quite ugly, to say the least, and it's a daytime pic, right about when the sun is setting. It's a good pic, but he's not standing, but buffed out, squatting, looking at the cam. And that's not all. I keep my big dogs in at night because I don't want them killed. I have an older blue heeler and an Irish wolfhound. He's not as big as an Irish wolfhound as a standard size, but nonetheless is fast and aggressive. I almost lost him last fall when he was 3, I came home. He wasn't there to greet me. I found him pretty beat up with 6-inch slice at his groin, which almost cut into one of his arteries. And he had no bite marks at all, but he was beat all over his body like something pulverized him. He was so swollen you could push in on a swelling like you were pushing in on a semi-inflated balloon, and there was a lot of blood underneath all those bruises. I called my pastor neighbor, who indeed said there was a fight in the river about 9 a.m. And they said it sounded horrible and heard a dog screaming. Well, it was my dog. It changed my dog's personality. He's more cautious, and when these strangers are around, he will not leave my side, nor will he go to the river. Irish wolfhounds are ear, sight, and smell dogs, and when he stands on his hind legs or raises his head, smelling the air, and turns around and comes back to me, something is afoot in the river. I've had many instances with these creatures on my place and have lost a few good dogs in the river and what runs into it. If you want to pick, send me an email. My researchers are mostly into Bigfoot. I do not come around much anymore. Matter of fact, one move away from that part of Colorado. Be very careful going in the woods with these things, and I can prove that these creatures and others are not what we know as normal animals. They're very hard to kill, as well as Bigfoot or other creatures on my place. I hope you carry a very large caliber weapon when out in the woods. I have a pick of the hybrid that has like an 8-face, huge shoulders, not too much of a body, and what looks like lion feet. You can see 4 shadows in that fish, and it's quite a pig. I sent it to other researchers, added some colored picture, and they sent it back to me, and that's when I say it's a dogman. Bigfoot and other cryptids are the giants of old, and I saw something else like that last summer. And if you have any further questions, email me. They're dangerous. Never doubt that.
She said the feet look kind of like a lion.
She said that was another one of the creatures she had caught that looked like an African lion. She called them hybrid creatures. But this one hybrid that she saw, she said it looked like a wolf with a big pointed ears, and I mean 4 feet wide at the shoulders.
That's a big beast,
dude. And it was squatting down, so it's not standing up. So she obviously couldn't get a gauge on how big it was standing up, but 4 feet wide at the shoulders. Good Lord.
But, if it was squatting down and she said it's 4 feet wide, if you've looked at some pictures and some drawings of people drawing dogmans when they're squatted down like that, it's like they put their shoulders in between their knees.
True.
So if you're looking at it either from the back or from a good ways off, it may appear to be wider than it actually is because you're getting those knees in.
True. Almost like a cobra hood when it flares out,
yeah.
Is to make it look wider. So, yeah, but even still, that's pretty scary. And the fact that if a dog tangled with it, and that dog, and Irish wolfhounds are bred to hunt wolves.
Yeah, and they ain't small.
And they ain't small dogs, and they're not little, little shrinking violets. You know what I mean? So that's.
There's a lady that lives in my neighborhood that has a high risk wolfhound, and when she's walking it through the neighborhood, I swear to God, it looks like she could just, because she don't weigh but about 90 pounds soaking wet. Looks like she could throw a leg over that dog's back and just ride it home.
Yeah, those Irish wolfhounds are some big units.
That's in the 13th Warrior. That's what Bullseye had, wasn't it?
Yeah. You ever pet one of them dogs? Their hair's like petting a Brillo pad.
It's real wiry, ain't it?
Yeah, it's real wiry and rough hair.
Yeah, that's interesting.
When she's talking about seeing one that looked like a lion, an upright lion, I have never heard that before.
I hadn't either. She said that she had a pick of a hybrid that had an ape-like face, big shoulders, a small body, and African lion feet. And I'm wondering if maybe it looked like African lion feet, or that's just the resolution of the camera.
You see massive paws your first for, massive paws like that, your first inclination is probably not going to be dog,
Correct.
because big cats get bigger than most big dogs.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm guessing she saw something with dog-like feet.
Yeah.
Or,
I don't know.
with
That's
rock
kind of
legs.
Did it say anything about when in the trash? Did it say anything about whether the claws were in or out?
No, it didn't.
So, because if the claw, if it was just the paws with no claws showing, that's feline. If it's canine, the claws are always out. So that's what I was asking.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to contact her and see if she has any pictures, and if she's got any pictures of tracks. That's another thing I'd like to see. So, but yeah, I mean, the classic dog man with the pointy ears and the wolf-like snout with all the scars around it. That's kind of like what we think of when we think of the classic wolfhound, or the wolf, or the dog man. And the fact that her dog never would go around there. I mean, that thing had something imprinted on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially something bred to hunt wolves, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be messing around with that sucker because it looks like a wolf, not a wolf.
Well, how far is that? How far is Pueblo from
Meeker?
Meeker? Yeah,
it's a good ways. Pueblo's roughly an hour south of me. South.
And how far is Meeker from you?
Oh, Jesus, man.
Colorado's a big state. I mean,
Colorado's
I know it's
big.
good size. It ain't Texas, but it's big.
It's a big farking state. Let me look here. Meeker is Meeker is almost 6 hours northwest of me, man.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's way the fark up there. So, I mean, it's up almost due north of Rifle along I-70 going towards Grand Junction. So it's a ways away. So we're talking almost 7 hours away from where she saw that to where Meeker is, to where those weird canid tracks that were not identified.
But for something that size, that's really not that. That's a good day's worth of travel for something that big.
Hey guys, look at this comment. Hey Bowers, if you've got more details on that, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I'm from the Carolinas.
Wow.
Yeah, if you've got some information on that, go ahead and forward it to us. I would love to read more about that, and if it's fairly close to Robbie, maybe.
Yeah, because my dumb ass will go look for it.
Oh, absolutely. Let me throw the contact up just in case you don't know it. But if you'll, K Bowers, if you'll reach out to me, or if you need Robbie or Doc, you can reach out to any of them as well. But I just put mine up there. My email address is daroberts@daroberts.net, and I can forward it to them if it's easier.
Yeah, and Michael Scott said, "I'd be glad, Doc." I might have missed your comment while I was reading, man. So if there's something you were talking about, you'd be glad to do. Let me know. I'm curious because we've had a lot of shows talking about the dumbs, and how we do believe that there's hybridization, so to speak, of certain critters. And so who knows, with all the BLM land and national forest and everything out here, holy crap, dude. I mean, that could definitely be, I don't know. There could be something there to it. Who knows?
Well, that's got me intrigued just because it was an upright lion type man. Because we've got that area here in Missouri where they reported they didn't say lion, they said like upright mountain lion.
I'm just wondering, was it lion feet, or did she just see like what Robbie was talking about, were the claws in, claws out? You know, was
Right.
it? I mean, it's it's just so freaking big.
Wonder if we could reach out to her.
I'll pull her up, man, and I'll find her email and everything, and I'll send that to y'all.
Mr. Duffy 81 says they let these creatures out to hunt, then use trackers to get them back into captivity, but they can't stay inside all the time. They have to let them out to kill. Like I said, for a long time, we've been saying this for a hot minute. I'm sure the government is aware of these things, and I don't think they created them, but I certainly think they manipulated them. I think Bigfoot and dogman type creatures have been around for a long time because the sightings date back thousands of years. But our government is definitely not above weaponizing something.
No, of course not.
Not at all.
Just a guy had a good question. He says, DA, are we thinking these cat men, lion men, are possibly skinwalkers? I wouldn't think so, because that's you usually hear about skinwalkers just taking the form usually of a coyote, but it wouldn't be past what they were capable of. But true skinwalker encounters are generally restricted to within the lands of the Navajo.
Yeah.
Pete says Wampus cat in Colorado. Might be onto something there.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of mountain lion out here. There's plenty of cougar out here. You know what I mean? So, I mean, could they have done some, I don't know, Dr. Moreau crap on something out here?
Entirely possible.
Absolutely. Who knows?
Don Donaldson says, I've heard of dogmen with a mane like a lion. Could that be it? Maybe. It very well could be.
Muy interesante.
That's definitely an interesting sighting.
Yeah,
that's
one. Like I said, that's one of the first dogman sightings I've seen reported on that map, and so that's the reason I wanted to talk about it. And it was pretty detailed. So,
well, that's not the first one I've seen, but that's definitely the most detailed and that's the best. Usually, when we pull up a dogman sighting, it's like what 3-4 lines tops. DA.
Yeah,
we did one last show, and I mean, literally was like 4 lines. Well, I mean, it was a longer paragraph, but it was a setup of everything and where he was going. But the actual part of the encounter was like 2 or 3 lines. And that was it.
Well, that one sighting from here down on the other side of Branson, I've been waiting to go to that area until I've got a group, because it was a violent encounter, and apparently Missouri Department of Conservation exchanged fire. They opened fire on these things.
What?
Yeah, that happened here in Missouri supposedly a couple of years ago.
Damn.
Down in that area where we were at. We were close to it, but we didn't make it over that spot. I didn't even know about it. But I'm planning on going back over there. But I do not want to go just 1 or 2. I want to take a group.
No. And you need to be heavily.
Oh, we're well healed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wyatt says he's down.
Yeah, I know. I figured Wyatt would be like, I'm down like 4 flat tires. I'm down like a fat kid on a seesaw. I'm down like a fat kid on a seesaw. Let's do it. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
I want to get down there. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I've got to get a group together.
Bro, you need at least like what me and you and Noah and Robbie had. You need at least a diamond formation of 4 dudes. Seriously,
minimum. I looked at the aerial map, the Google Maps of that area. Not only is it extremely heavily wooded, there ain't but maybe 2 houses in that entire area, and I'm talking like 20 square miles.
Bro,
it is in the butt crack of nowhere.
Yeah, a scream for help will be a popcorn fart out there. You know what I mean?
Ain't nobody gonna hear you.
No. Whew. Can I pet that dog? That's right. Can I pet that dog?
Robbie, you want to go next?
Yeah, if you want me to.
All right, then. If it is cats, if it does turn out to be cats, I'll use the laser sight on my gun to keep him distracted.
Yep.
Hey, I'll bring you in flashbangs and we'll wrap some catnip around it.
Yeah, y'all ready?
Kitty, no pot pie.
Yeah, kitty. Yeah, kitty. Yeah, kitty. All right, this is from Jackson County, North Carolina, in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Is July 2nd of 2005 in the summer. I'd rather not give any more specific a location than I have given for an online use, as we hunt in this vicinity, and the fewer people who know about it, the better. Better for us and for the critters. I can provide explicit directions to the researchers should they contact me about this experience. My buddy and I were camping on July 2nd, 2005 in the Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina, several miles outside of a mountain town. At midnight, we were preparing to retire for the night to our respective tents when we heard a prolonged howl, which was about as far away from us as the 1994 Columbiana, Ohio howl on the BFRO website. It seemed from its source, at least, that's the best way I could determine the distance from us. This howl was at least twice as long, I want to say even longer, as the Columbiana howl. I'd estimate the howl that we heard to be more or less 10 seconds long. It was the length of the call as much as it was deep in tone and the strength of it, which attracted our immediate attention. It just didn't seem to quit. It wasn't interrupted. Either, like if the creature took a breath and then continued. This went on continuously for about 10 seconds. Although we heard the one howl, it was so loud for its distance from us and so prolonged and gained strength at the end instead of waning that we were rather shaken by its magnitude, commenting to each other that nothing human or zoological that we knew of could possibly have made that noise. I have studied research Sasquatch since grad school in Idaho in the mid-1970s. Even though my degree is in literature and English, I roamed the Rockies of the Northwest every chance I got for most of 5 years, looking for evidence, tracks, signs, anything. I found zilch. This is the first experience I've had, and even though auditory, it was exhilarating. Both my friend and I were struck by the animal-like characteristics of this howl and tried to think of things which might have made this sound other than a Sasquatch. No, we decided, quite without hesitation, it couldn't have been a machine-made sound like a siren because it was too low in tone. No, we decided it couldn't have been fireworks, as they tend to scream and then wane, whereas this howl was low in tone and went on for a number of seconds, beyond 5 or 6, and gained momentum and strength towards the end. So we ruled out fireworks. Since it was July 4th weekend, that's why this was a consideration. No human can make make that loud of a howl for that period of time. Human lung capacity is way too small, we concluded. And on we went, trying to explain to each other the howl/sound by some origin other than Sasquatch. He and I had been joking and talking for the past several years about perhaps encountering one or hearing one, etc., but never really expected this to happen. When it did, we wanted to try to cover all the potentialities for the sources of such a sound, and a Sasquatch is all we could come up with, especially since I heard the Columbiana, Ohio sound on your website and was immediately reminded of it when hearing and replaying it in my head. That sound on 7/2 of 2005. We went back to the same campsite a few weeks later, hoping for a repeat performance, but no such luck. We had a lab mix retriever with us both times. The night we heard the sound, the dog became very animated, very intently listening to that sound or that distant sounding howl. But because it was so far away, it didn't seem to be bothered by it, though it did move off into the forest toward the direction of the howl, but soon returned. Both dog and we maintained something of a vigil that night, but no other indications of the creature's presence were made to us. That's all I got to say about that one.
A lengthy, powerful howl. What's that?
I
make
was
you think?
thinking in the middle of me reading that, I was like, "Yep, I know what's coming up after I finish with this one."
Hmm.
Hmm.
What could that possibly be? I don't know.
Hmm.
Here we go.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
What was that? He looked at the camera and was like, what the hell?
It's little Doc and the even littler Doc.
His legs are shorter than mine. He's a sweet little boy.
Is he full grown or is he still tough?
Yeah, he's a year old, and he's a mini Dotson. Say, hey, everybody. Hey,
Hey, everybody.
He's attached to Angie at the hip, so he's over here looking at her because he's like, where's she going? So,
Mom, get me out of here.
yeah, I just want to let y'all see him real quick. So, say hello to Doc. It's a mini Dachshund. It's a Dachshund. That's what. Here
That's
he
a
is,
good
Mama.
one, Wyatt.
All right. Here you go.
Hi,
Bye.
Doc.
Go get your mama.
Run away, Winnie Dog.
Thank you, baby. So that howl. Let's talk about that.
That lasted for what, 5 or 6 seconds, and he gained in power.
He said at least 10 seconds, but he said, "Well, the 5 or 6 second thing was like he was like, that's from that 5 or 6 second range is when it started gaining momentum and building." But he said it lasted for at least 10 seconds.
So let's talk about lung capacity.
That's a
which,
tremendous amount of lung capacity.
which relates to chest size, right? Let's think about that. I mean, the folks that live down in the Andes, the natives that live down the Andes, they have roughly 6-liter lung capacities, like 3 liters per side. They got these big old barrel chests. So something that could put something out that and make it more powerful towards the end. Holy crap.
Why do people in the Andes have larger lung capacities? Because the air is thinner?
Bingo, because they're above 10,000 feet. They live at like 13, 14,000 feet. So it's like an evolutionary thing.
Dude, you know where else the air is thinner? Underground.
Aha. Aha.
You get deep enough underground, the air starts getting pretty damn thin.
The concentration of air, yes, is different. Yep.
Casey wants to know, Robbie, how far away you think that ring cam was from the source.
Quarter of a mile, probably.
If it was a quarter of a mile away, it was still that damn loud. Hey, William Nighthawk. William.
What's up, Brother William?
I'd have a Sharpie mind to wear is all I got to say.
I mean,
hey, William, what's up, brother? Got the hey.
I mean, knowing that area, I mean, it's just, I'd say, well, you got the hills and the hollers around here. It probably easily could have been a quarter mile away.
Well, when we caught that owl call in response to your wolf call, that was about a quarter of a mile away, because within 5 minutes, that's when we caught our sightings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something big moving through a lot of brush and undergrowth within 5 minutes. And we know those suckers can move. I mean, Usain Bolt and Jesse Owens ain't got crap on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They was moving fast.
Yeah.
And you can't convince me that them some guns didn't follow us across the creek and follow us down to Bennett Springs,
bro,
and then turn around and come back to us again.
We know they did, because when we went down to that fish hatchery and hung out and kind of decompressed for a second and turned back around, you called it out, Robbie. You said, hey, those cats are behind us. because they had come across that freaking creek where they were coming, were coming to.
And I was, I think it was, I can't remember, but I was talking about this. It might have been on that show I was on with Daniel the other night. I was explaining it to him. He was asking about some of that stuff, and I said, like when we came in from the first time we came in, facing going. If we had kept going, we were going out towards Bennett Springs.
We were going towards the cannibal house.
Yes. So when we got the first initial response, it was like they were coming in the same direction we were.
Correct.
So when we got in the car and took off, we were headed out that way. We headed out to Bennett Springs. We turned around, lay down there. We turned around. We're gonna go back. We come back. So we're facing out the other way. Then they were coming from the way we had just come back in. So they had to have crossed across the creek and followed us on down to the hatchery, because that's really, I mean, through the woods like that. That's not. I mean, it took us a while to get there on the road, but them going through the woods across the creek and down the holler don't take that long.
Correct. Because they were cruising, son. And William Nighthawk said, "Crick or creek, Doc?" Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. I grew up with it called crick.
Here you go, boys.
Yep.
Well, that's where we parked.
That bridge. Yep. And they were south. If you look at that bridge, they were south east of us. And actually in those woods, if that bridge, put your cursor on that bridge right there, DA.
Okay.
Right in the middle. Okay. If you go to your right and then go up. Nope, not that far. Back down, and then go back a little bit. Just a hair. That's where they were.
Well, the first two that me and Robbie went to look at were over here.
Yeah.
And Robbie and I left the.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm looking back towards
the you're reversed.
I'm reversed. So go
Robbie
back.
I was too until I looked.
They were back. Okay. Keep going to your left.
Yeah, because they were over here.
They were up in there. Yep.
Robbie and I made it to about up in here on foot when you stopped us, because that other one was coming up through this way to get it behind us.
Yep. Now I see the parking lot. Yep. That's exactly it. Woo. Man, that gives me a pucker factor.
And check this out, boys. Right in here and all through here are bluffs. And they're both riddled with caves.
Well, you saw one that over if we were standing on the bridge, would have been off to our left. That time, me and you were down there, DA, remember? Because I said, "Is that a cave right there?" And you're like, "You got the binoculars." You're like, here. "Son of a gun, there's another one I didn't know about."
Yep. Freaking crazy, man. Wow. Yep. Whew. Talk about the howls. DA, it's your turn, man.
Okay, hold on just a second. I was looking for something. Okay. Let me pull these up real fast. Here. Okay, let me enlarge this. Let me share this real fast. This is the caves that Robbie's talking about that we spotted. Now, look how far up they are. But those are big caves.
Dang.
And it doesn't look like this one has a rock pushed in front of it. As you can see the outline of the cave. There's a big old rock right here. Another entrance here. This is a really big area over here. I'd like to be able to get up into those caves, or at least send a drone up there. What do y'all think?
I agree.
Yeah, I think we should
Concur.
definitely at least send a drone up there.
Concur.
Okay, my turn, huh? Okay, this one is in the Mark Twain National Forest here in Dent County, Missouri. Uh, it's it was a Class A sighting. It says it was, I believe, it happened in fall of 1971. So this is an old sighting. Says, I will take you to the tree and the place this happened if you want to go. Says, my name is Kevin and I'm 52 now. I went hunting with, and this is a few years old, this report is. He says, I went hunting with my dad in Dent County near what is called Lake 117 east of Salem, Missouri, in the Mark Twain National Forest. I was approximately a quarter mile from the old farmhouse up a tree with a view from 10 feet off the ground, approximately. Anyhow, I remember seeing a doe running by my stand looking scared, and then I saw why. It was a tall black man running after it, except that it was not a man. It was not a man chasing a deer. If it was not a, hold on, this is worded weirdly. Uh, but it wasn't a man chasing the deer naked. One went to my left, and I could hear a loud thrashing in this thick section of the woods, and I assumed it had caught the animal and was killing it. Astounded, I could not believe what I'd just seen, and then it was when I turned to my right. There he stood, 20 feet from my tree, and was standing there looking at me. And I remember thinking, "Who are these guys running naked through the woods?" But wait, this was a very hairy being with a type of crest on its head, somewhat of an oddly shaped head, black hair but thinner in spots. When we made eye contact, it growled very deeply. I was so freaking scared I could not understand what was going on. I have goosebumps and fear still to this day, 40 years later. I don't like being ridiculed, and I have tears in my eyes now trying to write this to people that might not understand the situation. Scaredest I've ever been in my life, and I've had 2 guns pulled on me. Sorry, I'm wandering from my encounter. This being this being of the woods had black eyes and light tan colored nose that was somewhat triangular looking to me. So this giant, tall, very strong looking being turned and started running, being turned and started running over toward the thrashing sound, but I couldn't believe how lucky I felt. Just a step or two and it could have yanked me right out of that tree I was in. And as soon as it was out of sight, I believe I just jumped out of the tree I was in and started running up the logging road back to the farmhouse where my dad was. I remember stopping and turning around with my dad's 30-30, and I shot in the direction of it and was yelling to leave me alone. And on the rest of the way back to the farmhouse, approximately 300 yards, it was paralleling me in the thick woods, making all kinds of racket.
Whew.
I still get scared thinking of this, and I felt I was lucky that it didn't kill me. I was around 11 or 12 at the time. And when I finally got back to the farmhouse, my dad was there having a nip, if you know what I'm saying. He could tell something was wrong with me, and I did my best to explain to him what was going on outside, so he headed out with me. But the beast must have headed back to the deer kill 300 yards away. I'm not sure if he ever truly believed me, and that really upset me. And I took his whiskey away from him and said, "Now listen, Dad, you have to believe what I just saw." Well, the owner of the farm arrived in the next day, and he believed me. I was so relieved he truly believed me, and I could tell. He was a local doctor, and he told me he'd seen the giant footprints in the sand on the beach of this lake. What now is what now is Conservation Lake. He must have left them after he passed away. But I remember him being so interested in what had happened to me and truly believing me. Dang, this brings fear and tears to me still the trying to understand what the heck was going on around me in this deer stand. Never been that scared again. It was so hard to see this and understand it was real. So I've heard that it was 1 in a million chance of this happening. All I can say is how lucky I was that I wasn't on the menu that day. So after analyzing this, I truly believe that even though they are giant, inside they won't hurt you, but they will harass you to leave them alone. Or remember, never look them in the eyes. He will let out a very deep growl and your legs will start shaking uncontrollable. Not sure I agree with him about that, but that's there. I believe they just want to be left alone, still curious on how humans live. think about how they could take you without without a problem if you have no chance at all. Then when I think back about this, is what I have interpreted, I guess would be, I guess I would be famous if I'd shot it, but I didn't have that in me, and I still don't think I could do it. I appreciate what you guys and gals have done, except if you would just stay longer in that area, miles from where I had my camera in that area. One or more times have been sighted, and that's how you will get your chance at some greater evidence. I wish I'd never repressed this memory. Bothers me, but I also I see in 2005 a guy had heard one only a couple miles from where I had my encounter. I believe these animals are in small groups and travel nomadically through the thick woods, and I guess they eat a lot of deer. I know they had caught one not too far, maybe 30 or 40 yards from where my stand was in the thick woods. I could hear them, but I couldn't see what was going on. Listening just gave me just give me a call and I will tell you what happened that day. I'm ready to discuss this with you pros. Dang, you guys are so bold. P.S. If you stick with this, and you will eventually get your film, but you will have to be ready constantly because they run really fast. And also, I don't believe this animal knows what a trail camera is. Come on, come on down and just hang out there and be ready. And if they are close, don't look them in the eyes. He growls unbelievably. Thank you, and I would like to try and accompany you guys sometime. I think if someone would shoot one, that they would retaliate against humans. I think they just want to be left alone. Don't know that I would agree with that. Way too many stories of people being carried off, but you know, individual accounts may vary.
And I think that's something that, sometimes I know we've said it, but I think, a lot of things that are a lot of shows that talk about, how dangerous or any of those. If the majority of the population of these creatures, whether it be dogman, Bigfoot, whatever, if we were on the menu for the majority of these, I don't think the government will be able to keep a lid on it like they do.
Right.
Because there's just, I think, you got, like we've talked about, you got your gugways, your nosqua, certain types of dogman probably that are that type, but then you got the ones like the Patterson Gimlin that just, like he said, just want to be left alone. And I think that's the majority of the population. Because, and I know people going with the shark population or a shark thing, but there are over 250 species of shark in the world, and only like all of them can bite you. All of them could probably kill you in ways, but there's only like really 5 to 6 species that will actively go after people, and their bites are going to really, really mess you up. So it's kind of the same thing. If you've only got a small percentage of the population that does that, I think that's why you get these. There's not as many stories like that where people are getting chased out of the woods and attacked and things like that. Because if it was the complete opposite of that, it would not be something that you could keep a lid on.
Right. I mean, if all of them were aggressive, I think what you're saying is if all of them were aggressive, we'd have a hell of a lot more violent encounters.
We'd have a big problem on our hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Me personally, just from some of the experiences we've had together, I believe they are aggressive. I just think they're opportunistic. I think it's like Robbie was saying with sharks. We're not on the menu because we don't live where they live.
Yeah.
But much like the case of the Indianapolis, 1,500 men went in the water and 300 came out. Yep. They will eat you if they got the opportunity. I just don't think that we're
those men went in the water with the most opportunistic sharks there are, the oceanic whitetip that cruise. They're pelagic sharks. They cruise the deep waters. They're going to eat whatever they come across whenever they do, because they don't know when next time they're going to come across it.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, they don't know when it's going to be their next meal.
Yeah,
and so they got to get it in while they can get it in.
So I think it's a mix of. I think they are opportunistic, but I think a lot of the aggressives, like some of the stuff that we've experienced, DA, I don't think it was aggressive. Like, I want to eat you aggressive. I think it was aggressive. Like, get the heck out of my my living room aggressive.
But aggression is aggression, and I think, well, like that night when the Robbie Wrangler was born, I think that night, if you had gone farther out instead of backing off like it wanted you to, I don't think he was coming out of those bushes.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, and also, like DA said, aggression is aggression. They're coming towards something West Side Story style, and saying, "Hey, who's pissing on our territory?" You know what I mean? Because when you let that wolf howl go, and there's been known cryptid sightings in that same area, then they were
like Doc said, you just whipped it out and flopped it on the table.
Yeah, yeah, you did. I mean, right across the hood of that truck. You know what I mean? And they were like, "Nuh-uh, no, you're not allowed to be here," type of thing.
I seriously, as soon as I can get you guys here, or I can get a big enough group together, I want to go down and play that howl in Moon Valley.
Ooh.
I want to play that in Moon Valley. We may have to shoot our way out, but I want to do it. I just want to see what. But the thing about it is I want at least 2 people filming when we do it.
Yeah.
I want a big enough group where we got dedicated cameramen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That way you can cover a 360-degree arc.
Right, and we can also, and maybe have a third person on audio.
Yeah, have that parabolic out again.
Yeah, I want to go down there with probably 8 to 10 people.
We need to get that recorder from Steve if he don't go with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we can just sit that on the truck and turn it on.
DA, I hope you can run fast. I know I would. Well, if we do that in Moon Valley, it ain't going to be about running fast. We're going to park the SUV, park the vehicles right in the middle of that bridge again, and we're going to play it from the bridge. And if they come in hot, we'll be right there where we can get in the vehicles.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna be stupid this time. And well, mainly it's me and Yehu here who were stupid and let ourselves get drawn off. Doc and Noah stayed with the truck. Me and Robbie are like, screw it, let's go see what it is.
I was in the rear with the gear.
That's right. Yeah. What runs with thermal? You were in the whatever with the thermal.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's some scary stuff. And Wyatt just said, I have an audio recorder we could hook up to the parabolic mic up to. So yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Muy interesante.
Leslie Trainham says, "Go in armed like Margolin." Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
AC says, "I'll carry a 50 BMG camera."
Well, we had 2 SOCOMs, 30-30, 2 12-gauge shotguns, a plethora of 45s and 9mm.
I had a 10 silly meter with me.
Yeah, and Doc had a 10 mic with him.
Yeah, we had plenty of pew-pews.
Even still,
we didn't get the long guns out of the SUV. Robbie and I just had our 45s.
I mean,
we went walking, and we were pretty damn far.
Yeah, I mean, even still,
bring that back up again.
Is that going to be enough to get out?
But we, as Scott said, at Kentucky Ballistics, we had the Lord's caliber with us.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that just going to piss people? Is that just going to piss things off? You know what I mean?
Maybe, but I feel better with it.
Oh, I know. I 100% agree.
We were parked out here, and Robbie and I went way the hell over here. We were a good distance from the SUV when Doc said, "You got another one coming in behind you from over in here."
Looking at that now, that gives me a greater scale of how far y'all were ahead of us, because y'all are almost to that bend.
Yeah, we were almost in the bend. Because those things you were seeing on the thermal were right here at the end of the road.
Yep.
And what this doesn't show, what y'all can't see from just this image, is that right about here, the valley starts sloping up pretty substantially. So this is the edge of the valley right here, and it goes up a pretty steep angle.
Wow. Yeah. Whew. That was good stuff.
Like a couple of barns over there.
But they can have them.
Yeah. I don't want to know what's in them either.
Nope. Not even a little bit.
And that night, we were hearing something crossing the river up here and way down here. We kept hearing stuff crossing the river. I wouldn't want to have been in that water that night. That was in January, and that water's cold.
Super cold. Ooh.
But anywho, that I definitely want to do that. I want to go back and play that wolf howl there. Venture Spoon super chatted $5. Thank you, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
that.
man.
Thank you.
Does that area not
Thank
have
you
a
so
street view? No, it does not.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I would be genuinely surprised if the Google car went down that gravel road, that rough and pitted ass gravel road.
If it did go down there, it probably went through at a high rate of speed.
They went through there in dock mode.
Correct.
They went through there to avoid getting hit.
That is correct, sir.
Oh,
There's a dot. Nope.
Hold on.
Doc went through his, and what I like to affectionately say is mock Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, mock Jesus. I wonder if I can find the cannibal house. It's not past that. It's before that. Right there. There's what's left of it. That's what's left of the cannibal house. All that right there. Oh, I stopped sharing it. Hold on. Let me bring it back up. Sorry about that. I forgot I'd taken it down. But this right here is what's left of the cannibal house.
Good.
Too much.
And that means
Hey,
all
go
houses.
out to that. Go out to the end of the road, DA, and see if you can see all them cars out there in the field.
Oh, that's a good
I don't think we've ever looked for that.
There's O Highway, Double O Highway. There they are.
Look at that. Look at that, Doc. Does that not look like a scene out of thing wrong turn?
And some of these are actually fairly newer looking cars. Like the ones closer to the pond are probably within the last 20 years.
Nope.
DA, that's more than we even thought. We thought it was like 5 or 6.
A lot of them are
maybe.
overgrown with brush.
Yeah.
Nope.
There's, I don't know, 40, 50 cars out there maybe.
Nope.
And it looks like something big in the pond.
No.
There's more cars up here in these bushes too. You can see them. And there's the redneck place that never looks like you should stop anywhere near there. And hell, there's more cars out here.
Diddling, ding, 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 ding. Yeah. No.
Dude, that goes back farther than I thought it did. You can't see all this from the road. There's a whole village up and more cars.
I'm good.
These are old junk trailer houses.
Or are they? Hell to the no.
Dang, look at all these freaking cars.
I'm good.
I'm just saying. They got the idea from wrong term somewhere.
Look at all that. Yeah, that ain't freaky at all.
Yeah.
No.
I will zoom in and see if I can get it to give me street view. But it doesn't look like it's gonna let me.
That is just amazing because I mean that's way more than we thought.
Oh yeah.
No, sir.
Doc says, "Hey, how about you, Alabama? Roll on."
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
I'm doing some Jerry Reed, eastbound and down. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Okay. Street View will get you on O Highway, but it will not let you go down Moon Valley Road. Let me bring this rascal back up.
Wonder why.
It does not go down Moon Valley Road.
Mm.
But this is the view from O Highway. Yeah, right there's the highway, double O Highway, actually.
Now you see some of the cars right there.
Yeah, I'm going to back up just up here.
Yeah, you can see some of the cars out there.
Some of them are pretty old, but some of them ain't.
Creepy.
Yeah, won't let me go down Moon Valley Road.
That means they didn't drive down that road, right?
Nope, they did not.
When they mapped it.
I don't blame them at all. Holy crap, man. All right.
All right. Doc, I believe it's your turn.
All right.
So the Google people didn't want to go down there.
Yeah. So let's see here. Now, this has been a long time ago. Nighttime sighting by Marine training near Fort Carson. Cheyenne Mountain near NORAD. Class A. While training at Fort Carson, I was on patrol with a Marine Recon Aggressor Force, aggressing fire batteries and simulated attacks. My patrol attacked the HQ company, and during the withdrawal, I was separated from my unit. There was plenty of ambient light, and I could see my unit across the field and hear them calling for me. They took off, and I figured I could cut through a wooded area and intercept them. As I rounded a bend in the trail, a figure stepped out in the trail in front of me. It was around 6.5 feet tall, covered in light brown fur, had large fox-like ears, and a large black globe-shaped eyes. The nostrils were slitted and large without much nasal definition. The body was muscular with a thin waist and easily discernible definition, and the arms were long, hanging below the level of the hips. The creature stepped out in the trail, looking in the opposite direction, and I had stopped stock still the moment I saw it. It turned and saw me, at which time it exhibited a startle reflex and then immediately crouched down, growled, and slowly moved sideways off the trail, watching me the entire time. It knelt behind a bush, at which point it became very hard to see. I realized I was encountering something few people have the opportunity to have the opportunity to see at only a distance of about 10 feet. And that's it. So apparently he unasked the AO.
Can you blame him?
No, I'm pretty sure his woodland camo had a little more brown to the camouflage pattern at that point. Holy crap.
Kevin Bode recommended checking to Google Earth. I tried it. It didn't really get me any better. But go ahead. Sorry.
Because the Googles ain't stupid.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's one I wanted to see because I've heard of other things around Fort Carson. This one dude was in his tent. This is not on Map Squatch. This guy was in his tent and heard something howling and stepped out of his tent and saw some creatures out there in Fort Carson area as well. So Fort Carson has had a lot of documented, maybe not a lot, but enough documented sightings that it's a known area of that stuff. So, and even in like 2003, these hunters in Gunnison County saw a creature banging some rocks together. So is that that tree knocks, or is that the mouth pops, or is that just something else for them to something to communicate with? You know what I mean?
Well, I've never said it as any one thing.
No.
Part of it is tongue pops, but I definitely think that they use other things.
They use some sort of communication. As we got closer, we heard the noise of rocks being banged together. We topped the ridge, saw a large brown dark animal squatting at the dry edge of a creek bed with its back toward us. It was banging rocks together with its hands, making a grunting, growling noise each time the rocks hit. It seemed to sense our presence immediately, turned around and looked at us. Then it quickly stood up, jumped across the creek in one motion, in one leap. And I remember thinking nothing can move like that. It ran up the slope on the north side of the creek bed at an angle and disappeared in the pine and aspen trees farther up the hill. We could see it about 50 feet before it was gone, and it moved really quietly for something that big. We estimated its height at around 7 feet. It was covered with long, brown, dark hair, and that made me think of a yak, and it had a very strong smell, and it smelled like elk urine. And we went to the creek bed after it disappeared and found the 2 rocks which were chipped and broken, and we couldn't find anything else in that area. So that's pretty telling right there, man.
Well, we've done the rock clacking before. We did that down. Well, where was it? It's Middle Cave. We did that, didn't we, DA?
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
I mean, and like we've said before, we believe that the tongue pops or the tree knocks or the rock clacking, things like that, that's a communication signal.
I agree.
Some sort of maybe like a perimeter alarm, because maybe these things are sentient enough to have, and I hate to say it like this, but maybe they have roving guards. Maybe they have like creatures on the perimeter of their territory.
Think about it. If they do sleep a lot during the day, if they're nocturnal, there's been, Cam's written that into his books.
Yeah.
He's written that into his books. I think DA's put that in a book or two of his. I mean, it makes sense if they're that smart, and if they're predominantly nocturnal and they live in clans, they've got to have somebody watch their back while they're asleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless they just are so far underground in a cave that they're not worried about it. But I would bet even if they were there, they would still probably have somebody, up roaming around just to make sure everything was good.
Yeah, I agree.
And rock clack or wood knock or tongue pop is probably a way to warn the others. Hey, we got contact.
Correct. Some sort of early warning system they have to warn others. So,
probably along with bird calls or owls or.
Yeah.
I mean, how is it done in the military? If people are sleeping, there's people standing watch at night, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely, man. And Curtis Murray said, man, the Genosko books get into some of this.
Yep. That's his books.
Yeah.
Arkansas Hog Hunter says, I had an interesting encounter over the weekend. I'd like to share it later. I'd love to hear it, man. I would definitely love to hear it.
Yeah, any of y'all, if y'all have any kind of encounters that y'all had, recent or older, send them to DA, man, because we'd love to hear them, and we'd love to talk about them if it's within y'all's permission. Obviously, names and everything would be redacted, but something we would love to talk about, because that lends credence to everything that we're talking about.
Yep. Because I mean, when we go out and we have encounters, we're going to come back on here. We're going to talk about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. If you got something to share it with us, man. If it's something you feel comfortable with, for sure.
Whose turn is it? Robbie's turn or my turn?
Mine.
Hey,
It, bud. Well, let me go back to Map Squatch because I only had 2 pulled up. So bear with me. I may be about to lose audio. It says that it's not responding. So if I stop making sound, tell me.
He will definitely let you know.
All right. All right, this is from spring of 2016, June 15th, and it is in Buncombe County, North Carolina. Large tree shaking 15 miles southwest of Asheville. I can't give the street address because it's a high-end gated community. I live near Asheville, North Carolina. I own a landscaping and irrigation company. I grew up about an hour east from there. My parents had 30 acres that was surrounded by 6,000 acres of game land. I played in the woods, hunted, and camped my whole life. Plus, my business also allows me to be outside year-round. I was starting up an irrigation system in a large gated wooded golf community in the mountains of Arden, North Carolina, basically 15 minutes from Asheville. And I know this area very well. This is a very squatchy area. This community joins the Pisgah National Forest, and that's, like I was telling you, Doc, earlier, DA, that's where I went and did all my tracker training, which is very, very, very Bigfoot type area. Approximately 300 square miles of forest. This was around April or June of 2016. I was standing in the backyard facing the control box, which is attached to the house. So my back was to the woods, maybe 25 to 30 yards to the tree line, and I hear a large crash. The same sound of a large tree makes as it falls through the other trees while it's falling down. I turned quickly to see a massive beech tree rocking back and forth. Leaves were floating down, but no tree was falling. I think it's supposed to say I've been in trees this side. I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. There's no way I could make one of these trees rock like this, but I didn't see what did it. So I watched it for probably 30 to 45 seconds. Nothing happened, so I turned back around to finish my work. Then it happened again, but to a different tree. This time I knew something was up. Bears don't jump from tree to tree like that. So I walked to the edge of the yard and watched for a few more minutes. No movement in the trees, but the canopy is really thick here. The only way I could have really seen anything hiding in there would have been to walk to the bottom of the tree and look up. But I wasn't about to do that. So after a while, I walked back to the control again, but I walked backwards. It seemed silly, but I felt like whatever it was watching me. When I reached the control, I turned to face it. Then I turned back to the woods again quickly to see if I could trick it into catching it jumping. But nothing happened. So I started working again, assuming the show was over. Then it happened again. A third big tree was rocking after a loud crash. At this point, I was freaked out, so I ran to the truck and left. Rescheduled the job. I've been in the forest my whole life, and I've never been afraid in the daytime. Bears don't do that. They climb up and down. Cats don't make loud crashes. If they have, they would have run after the first one. Whatever did that has to be big and huge. I couldn't make those trees rock like that if I wanted to. Plus, it was waiting. It was watching and waiting for the perfect time to jump so I wouldn't see it. Bears here aren't that worried about being seen. They know they can't be hunted in those developments. You have to make them leave. This was something different. I wish I had the balls to walk to the base of those trees, but I don't. I was afraid. I've been training to handle myself, and I always carry a gun, but that wasn't something I could handle. I just know.
Yeah, bears don't jump from tree to tree.
No.
Mountain lion might if it's cornered, but mountain lions don't look anything like bears.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and like you said, if it was a bear, if it was a mountain lion, it would have been shaking the tree regardless of whether he was facing it or not. So whatever was shaking that tree was trying to intentionally get his attention, maybe to even entice him to walk into the woods and look up like he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't,
But
I know bears can do that by scratching their backs and stuff like that, but not 3 separate trees. Bears just it's going to scratch on that one tree until it gets that itch scratched, and then it's going to be done.
But going back to the aggression thing that we talked about a little bit ago about them not all being aggressive. But what about all the stories where they've done something deliberately to try to lure people out?
Mm-hmm.
Babies crying, women screaming.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that there aren't those that do that. I just don't think, by and large, I don't think every one of them are out to do that. Because if they were, I think there'd be a lot more people get got.
Going back to the opportunistic hunters, if you live alone out in the middle of nowhere, and you think you hear a baby crying in the woods, and you go out there and there's no one around but you, what are the cops going to say when somebody finally reports you missing?
True, and I get that, but like I said, and I think there are those in that species that are that way. But like I said, by and large, I don't think it's every single one of them, because if it was, even throwing in the opportunistic thing, there would be way more than they would be able to explain away with just, they just had Alzheimer's and wandered off in the woods.
Well, I know what I want to do a show on here soon. I need to do a little bit more digging, but I've already started doing it, making some notes. And there's we talked about the missing 411. We talked about missing 411 hunters, but there's a new type of missing 411 that has me disturbed even more than the hunters, because there are more of them than we realized. And it's apparently happening quite a bit in national parks across the country. Missing 411 park rangers.
Really?
Apparently, that's being covered up by the Department of the Interior.
Well, we talked
about
about
how many park rangers have gone missing.
Wow.
Didn't we read a story a couple shows ago about?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that story got me to thinking about it. I'm like, well, if this happened to a park ranger, has it happened before? And I started digging. And
you didn't hear that one, Doc. That one was
when I started pulling the string, it started unraveling pretty fast.
Wow.
It's happened a lot more in the Department of Interior and in National Park Service. Do not report it.
So this park ranger was missing for a year, DA? A year, and
holy crap.
After being missing for a year, walked back into the ranger station and said, I finally got away from them things, and then falls over dead. DRT.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah. And apparently that is a lot more common than we know.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, and just a guy who DA state, national, fed, or all types.
The one I've been mostly digging into so far are park rangers in national parks, not state parks.
Wow.
But I'm gonna kind of expand the search. I want to see if that includes. Well, I've got a couple of contacts in the Missouri Department of Conservation. I want to see if it's happened with conservation agents or game wardens, because I know for a fact there was one game warden that went missing in Laclede County when I was a kid, but we never knew what happened to him. They found his truck parked on the side of a road. And he had apparently radioed that he was getting out to check something, and he was just never found. I remember that happening when I was a kid.
Dang.
But there was never anything said that it was a bear. Of course, back in the 70s, there were no bear in Missouri. The black bears weren't re-released until the mid 90s in Arkansas, right. And a bunch of them came north. The populations have exploded. But back in the 70s, you never heard of a bear sighting in Missouri.
Wow.
Paramedic says I heard crying on a creek. It was baby otters one time and baby beavers another in their den.
Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Generally that at night. The stories I'm talking about are people that have reported being while out camping, hear what sounds like an infant crying out in the deep woods in the dark.
Yeah, and I let me make sure I completely agree with you that is a phenomenon and that happens. I just don't think every single one of them are out there doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I agree, but again, I think it's
simply
like
because of stories like the one for the little boy in North Carolina. If they were all that way, we'd have never found that little boy.
yeah.
The
I
bear
think
took care of him.
And I think they're a lot like people in the respect that some of them are just dangerous.
Yeah. Well,
There
I mean,
are people that I would not trust around my family. I wouldn't trust them around my kids. Hell, I wouldn't trust them around my dog. And then there are other people that are just as as good as gold.
You and I both own pit bulls or pit bull variants. That's the same thing. Pit bulls get that bad rep because of there's a few that that were mistreated,
fight, or they abused.
Yeah, but the species in general is not. Yeah, the species in general is not a bad dog. Just like I think there are plenty of, like we talked about the Gugway, the Genosqua, the ones like that that's pretty much their MO, and most of them up north, as Fred will tell you, are that way. But there again, there's reasons for it. That's either what they
got a good point. Could be a crying of a fox, but in a lot of cases, Native Americans used to talk about the crying of a woman or the crying of a child to lure people away from camp at night.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, I'm back. It's almost locked up on me. Yeah, so I completely agree with you that that is a phenomenon, and I think that happens. I don't think that it's indicative of the entire species. I don't think the entire species is out hunting us, because if they were, they as big and powerful and strong as they are. I mean, we said it like the Portland. Yeah, and what would stop them from just like right now reaching through my wall right here where I'm sitting if they were that way. So, and my encounter, it just sat there and looked at me. I mean, I was, there was nothing. They wouldn't have been
the screen door.
Yeah, that would have been. It was my mom, my grandmother, grandfather, and great-grandmother and great-grandfather. They wouldn't have been able to stop that thing. Plus, all my great-grandfather's guns were in there where I was. That thing could have been in there and got me before he would have even had a chance to get to any of his guns. Because Pa didn't carry a pistol on him. My grandfather was not he was in World War II, but he didn't. Yeah, he had guns, but he didn't carry a gun. Times were different back then. You know that. I mean, it wasn't like it is now, and you didn't have every.
Yeah, you could leave your houses unlocked.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that they're just like any other creature, humans included. There's good and there's bad. No matter. I mean, I know as much as you don't like snakes, snakes have personalities just like people do too. I mean, you can tell that there are some snakes that you just do not get around. And I'm talking about, the non-poisonous kinds. There's just some that, you can't hold because they're just assholes.
Just aggressive.
Yeah. And, house cats are the same way. There's house cats that you can't touch because they'll, you'll draw back a bloody nub. I mean, everything's got a personality and everything's got its own way of thinking. And I think there's asshole Bigfoots out there who that's what they want to do. But if
we've got serial killers among people, and we know, at least with the Lions of Savo, we had serial killer in the animal kingdom, because that's straight up what those things were. They were
Gustav the crocodile, that Lalong in was it Indonesia? I think he was from Philippines. I mean, so the where was that tiger at? the one that British hunter killed, it killed over 173 people.
I think it was in India, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, there was a leopard somewhere in Africa that killed, 75, 80 people. 1913, the shark that Jaws was based on, it chewed a bunch of people up the surf and killed those 3 people in Matawan Creek. I mean, there's serial killers in every species just about.
Oh, it makes sense that certain cryptids would be far more adept and inclined to kill people than others. Jeff Yarrington said, "Da, did you ever hear about the soldier that disappeared?" Yeah, I heard about the story, but the story got shut up. Don't know what happened to the guy. There was a woman that went missing, but they found her. They found her body in a dumpster on post. So that I believe she was murdered. But the guy, I believe he was a Marine that was on Leonard Wood for training. He disappeared and heard the story, and then we never heard any more about it. So I don't know what actually happened to him. Wind Clan, yeah, more people kill people than boogers. That is true. Man doesn't necessarily need the competition, but it is interesting to know that some parts, especially of the deep woods, when man still might be on the menu.
Yeah, but the thing is, most of the time, even these animals that we're talking about and classify them as serial killers, for the most part, they've got a reason. It's usually food. We're the only animals that kill for no reason other than just, hey, I just want to kill something. I mean, that generally does not, if an animal kills a person or another animal or something like that, unless it's just, protecting cubs or things like that.
Oh, Cryptid with the zinger again.
Northwoods, I'm happy you made it out of that relationship unscathed, buddy.
I don't know if he did.
He's not bitter at all.
Not at all.
No.
Not even a little bit.
But yeah, my point is that, humans kill for no reason at all. Most of the time, animals have some type of reason. Even like the lions of Sabo, they were eating the victims. They didn't just kill and leave the bodies laying around. I mean, unless they got scared off by Patterson at some point, they were at least attempting to eat most of the victims that they killed.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to believe that, yes, some of the Bigfoot population is probably very peaceful and probably not aggressive. But again, it could just depend on the circumstances. I've mentioned my nose-to-nose encounter with a grizzly bear on more than one occasion. Yeah, that to me was an eye-opener. I mean, a grizzly bear can and will eat people. It just apparently either wasn't hungry, I didn't smell good, or I didn't have enough marbling at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
y'all may have scared each other equally.
Oh shit, it's DA.
You imagine a bear holding the person up by the foot and squeezing their side. Nope, got to throw this one back. He needs a little more time to grow. He's below the limit. That explains Doc. He stays below the limit.
Smokey the bear comes up. Check your license there, buddy. Come on, Smokey.
I'm just in the moose boosh, baby.
Hors d'oeuvre.
A hors d'oeuvre. I'm a palate cleanser. Yeah, Northwoods DA calls a bear to have a brown fur moment. Well, I mean, we've seen videos. We've all seen videos of house cats and and dogs chasing bear out of their backyards.
Well, I mean, I've seen videos of house cats smacking alligators in the
Yes. And
the alligators turning and running away.
And an alligator, as we all know, can eat a house cat. Woo. Gone. It's a snack.
So, I mean, and what was that viral video that was going around like a year ago? That big, and I hate to say it, but it was a pit bull going after that kid. And that house cat, the kid's cat came out and freaking tackled that pit bull and tore that pit bull a new one.
That put the whooping on that dog.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it happens. And we all know that an alligator or a bear or whatever are definitely capable of eating a house cat or a person. They just didn't at that point for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yep, Cajun Dog's right. Polar bears are one of the few animals known to actively hunt humans.
Yeah.
But you're so cute. I won't pet that dog. And you never pet another dog ever again.
Roxanne Delgado says, "Does 5'1" count as a Smurf?" Well, Doc's gotten the nickname Tactical Smurf, so I guess so.
Yeah, I'm only 5'6", so
Hillbilly Smurf. That's what it was. Hillbilly Smurf.
Yeah, Hillbilly Smurf. And thank y'all for that.
You're welcome.
Not beloved, buddy.
I feel it. I feel it.
I'm rather proud of one of the lines you mentioned earlier. I don't want to say it because the book's not out yet, but you know, what you were pointing out about to Margolin.
Oh, no shit, dumbass.
Everybody loves him some Margolin.
You know, I'm astounded at the life of his own that he has taken on. He was just meant to be just this little dumbass background character, and people just love that little idiot. He's fun.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Well, alrighty. I think I'll go with another one. This one's also in the Mark Twain, in Iron County, Missouri. This happened back in 2009 in the fall. It says it was near Bell Mountain. I didn't drive to the area, so I wasn't really paying attention to the area. I think we entered the trail just off what I thought was County Road 32, if I saw the sign correctly. Went for a weekend hiking and camping trip with 4 family members. We hiked about 1.5 miles down an established trail before making a turn into the brush to find our camping spot just after the sunset on the first night. We probably hiked about 400 yards into the brush before setting up camp and turning in for the night as it began to rain. I was woken up about 4:30 a.m. by a very strong odor that smelled just like a skunk, so much so that I assumed a skunk had made its way into our camp, and I zipped up the shell on my sleeping bag to avoid being sprayed. The odor went away, so I relaxed a bit more and tried to get back to sleep when I smelled it again, only this time I had an overwhelming feeling that I was being watched from directly behind me. I rolled over to look and was able to make out a silhouette of a very broad-shouldered shadow and head between 2 trees about 7 yards from where I was laying. I immediately turned around and waited for daybreak, still unsure if I'd seen anything or just imagined it. I sat waiting and listening for anything aggressive in nature, and it didn't happen, so I chalked it up to an overactive imagination, but was still uneasy about staying in this location. I said nothing to my family, but I was determined not to let the campfire die out on the second night. The second night came and it rained again. We could hear the sound of what I would describe as a very loud owl. We turned in for the night, and all of my family was. Hold on. I skipped a line. We turned in for the night, and all my family was fast asleep, and let the fire get to the verge of dying, uh, which was easily helped by the falling rain. Sounds were all around the campsite, but not really unexpected in a dry, rotting forest. Sometime during some steady rains, I got up to tend the fire, and as the firelight grew, it seemed that the forest sounds intensified. Again, probably just nerves. I'm not an avid outdoorsman, but I love the minor amount of time I do get to spend in the wild. It was about 3:30 a.m. at this time, and one of my family members woke up and helped me with the fire. Sensing my uneasiness, he suggested I use his hammock and to get some rest, and he would watch the fire. I got a couple hours of sleep and woke up around 5:30 a.m. 5:30 a.m. still before daybreak, and my family member proceeded to tell me that about 15 minutes prior, he'd heard a very loud crash in the forest and then another less intense crash directly behind the hammock where I was sleeping. It had alarmed him enough that he had his handgun out and ready, but he said he didn't see anything, and I still didn't say a word about what I thought I'd seen the night before. I actually did not tell anyone until we were on our way home, and I told my brother about what I thought I saw, mostly out of fear of ridicule, though. It wasn't until we got home and I started doing some research that I became more convinced of what I think I saw on the first night and what I smelled. During our time at this campsite, the rain stopped during the day, and we were able to hike around the area, probably covering about 2 miles. And one of the things that struck us was the complete lack of any wildlife. That sounds familiar. We saw a woodpecker and heard the sounds of birds chirping on the first morning, but that was it. Not a thing. Nothing. Not a single rabbit, squirrel, deer, bird, or anything other than that woodpecker and a few fish in a nearby creek were seen in the area. We did come across some animal droppings that looked almost like rabbit droppings, only smoother. We only stayed 2 nights, even though we'd planned on 4 nights total. Fearing more rain, we left early. It's weird to not see animals in the Mark Twain.
Yeah.
That is very weird. Because I've had deer walk right into my camp. They seem to know it ain't hunting season. And
well, that's like the LBL. When you go into the north side, you don't see animals nowhere. You might see some remains of animals, but seeing live ones.
Right.
Just like we went to Combs Ferry.
But I would say it's a Class A because I believe he saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, like you were saying, Doc, though, just like Combs Ferry, it being dead.
It was quiet.
Yep.
It was quiet. We didn't see any birds until we got way on the other end.
Right.
That's weird. Yeah, the no animal sounds always kind of weird me out. You know what I mean? It almost kind of it clues you in.
A natural forest. I mean, that's generally a place where you're going to find wildlife.
Well, just like I think I was actually on the phone with you, DA, when I was in Demumbers Bay, and Johnny was just walking around while I was talking to DA on the phone, and he was like, dude, there's no birds, there's no ducks, there's no geese, you could hear way across the lake, you could hear a couple of crows calling, but that was it. The general vicinity of where we was at,
that's not normal.
No, and it was 11 o'clock in the morning.
That's definitely not normal because stuff's not roosting at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Mm-mm. And you know, when I stayed there, when we the cabin we rented was across from the north end of LBL. It was across the canal and in Grand Rivers. And there in Grand Rivers, you would see deer walking through town. I mean, there were squirrels and turtles and raccoons and possums and everything under the sun was over there in Grand Rivers. Yeah, hell, we watched raccoons getting into our trash can there at the cabin. But you cross that canal over to northern LBL, nothing.
So is that kind of like the line of demarcation there, where
the water,
where people hear stuff and see stuff?
Yeah.
But I've heard so many tales of cryptids that could swim. I don't know how that would stop them.
I don't know. This just because, like we were talking about with no animals, the whole time we were there in the north part, we didn't see even at night we didn't see any deer herds or anything like that. But driving around on the south side, you'd see herds, but herds that were like 25 and 30 deer in a herd. That's a big deer herd. Usually you see,
you don't see them in herds
5,
of 6
6,
or 8 around here. Most
10, 15 tops. But literally, because Johnny, the first time we saw him, he was like, holy crap. And I said, what? He said, look over there. And I looked over in the wood or in the little pasture area. And they're literally like 25, 30 deer standing there huddled together. I'm like,
wow.
I've never seen
those. You saw those thermals, the deer I took out here. There's like 13, 14 maybe. So weird.
They don't usually do that unless it's for protection.
Right.
Huh.
Like if you get up anywhere near Yellowstone, especially when night starts coming in, you'll see like antelope and stuff get in among the buffalo.
Really?
Yeah, antelope will just go graze right among them because they know if anything comes around that's going to eat, them, the buffalo are either going to put paid to it or they're going to know it long before they get there.
That's true. That makes sense.
And antelope can outrun buffalo.
Yeah, but as long as you can avoid getting trampled yourself, that's a pretty good place to hide.
Freaking strength in numbers, man.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot that's going to one-on-one challenge an adult buffalo.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And if it is, there's probably not a whole lot that's going to be able to stop whatever can challenge an adult male buffalo one-on-one.
Well, people don't understand they can jump a 8-foot fence and they can run 40 miles an hour, and they're a ton.
Both of y'all
have a lot of beef.
Both of y'all have seen my truck. My truck is not huge, but it's not small either. Johnny was videoing one of those, and those are just wood bison, which are smaller than buffalo. And he's videoing that one as we're going by it. And that thing's walking down the road, and that son of a gun turns and looks at him, and it's looking Johnny eye to eye. He's sitting in the passenger seat of my truck. I mean, it just turns and looks like that, and it's literally looking Johnny eye to eye sitting in the passenger side of my truck.
I mean, it's not tourist season in Yellowstone till the first bison goring,
Who's going to catch a puffy cow?
Yeah, the first tourist
walking along with a pair of blue jeans hanging off its horn.
Yeah, the tourist getting launched in the air.
The buffaloes are sitting around. All right, boys, it's tourist tossing season.
Dude, I know. And these idiots still get out and like, ooh, come here, nice puppy. You're going to stomp your guts out, dude.
Yeah, especially if you get close to a calf.
Bro. Yeah.
They'll charge your vehicle.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to ram a vehicle, let alone a person.
I don't know if your insurance covers a buffalo charge, but
Well, I mean, look at videos and from a lot of those safaris in Africa. Them rhinos picking vehicles up and lifting them and flipping them.
Hippos chasing boats through the water.
Yeah.
That's got to be a terrifying sight, seeing this freaking hippo after you.
Wow.
So, we got these animals that we've got, the ones that we know about. People just don't respect nature like they should.
No. Nature will murder you. It really will.
And not have a care in the world about it.
And just keep on naturing. It's just going to keep on naturing, baby.
What? Did you see the video that was running around about the people in India? The woman gets out of the car in the freaking tiger preserve.
Tiger safari.
Goes around to there's several stories. One was she was getting sick, one was the husband was getting sick, the other was they were fussing and fighting, and he told her whatever the case may be, and she goes around to the driver's side door, and all of a sudden here comes Tony off camera and yoinks her out of frame. And she survived. Mom gets out of the car to help. Mom and husband go over there, and mom's the one that ends up dying.
No, really?
Yeah.
I thought the other lady got killed.
No, the one that got out of the car and ran around the other side and got yoinked off camera, she survived. But mom gets out of the back seat of the car, and her and the husband go to help her out, and mom ends up getting killed. And then now, of course, the woman that got yoinked off camera is suing the park for negligence. I'm like, bitch, you got out of the car. What are you suing them for?
No. Harold Goodell, Buffalo Dark Angel Medical Kit. Yeah.
You guys ever seen that old commercial about the company that claims that they have the freshest salmon, and the guy goes running out and fights the bear for it, and then he points to the bear, looks up, and he kicks it in the nuts.
That's a funny commercial.
That commercial cracks me up every time I watch it.
And so
until the bear stands up and starts doing and sliding his feet, he looks like it's a real bear until he starts doing that.
Yeah, so pocket doc safety brief, y'all. Don't mess with the wildlife.
Don't pet the fluffy cows.
Yeah, don't pet the fluffy cows. Cajun dogs.
Don't play jump rope with a nope rope.
Yeah. Don't pet the wildlife. I mean,
what was it?
Jeff
George Carlin said, "Don't sweat the petty stuff and don't pet the sweaty stuff."
Exactly. Well, Jeff Yarrington said, "Am I the only one that laughs when at tourist season in Yellowstone?" No, Jeff, you're not.
No, you're not.
I mean, that's Darwinism at its finest, right there.
I just wait to see how much air one of these buffaloes, is going to get from some dude from California in a pair of Birkenstocks.
You know,
I'll be holding up a 10.
You know, for a long time, the kettlebell throw in the World's Strongest Man competition, Brian Shaw was he had the record. But I think these buffalo in Yellowstone, they've got the marks on the tree, and every year, somebody tries to beat that mark.
And I saw one old dude get yeeted so freaking high. I thought they were going to need a cherry picker to get him out of the tree.
Was he the dude that flew out of his shoes?
Yeah.
Dude, he had blue shoes. One blew this way, one blew that way.
Insert Wilhelm scream here.
Yeah. 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 I was like, you know what, dude? You earned that one, man. That's all I got to say. I don't. I mean, that'd be like, okay, somebody come up try to pet a Sasquatch.
Oh, what's her name that Steve Lilly and them had to say? I'm gonna go see my Sabe people.
Okay, let's see how that works out for you, there, sister. Yeah, you got to respect nature, man, because nature's going to keep on naturing, and you're going to be worm.
Nature
poop.
don't care.
Nope, you're going to be worm poop.
Nope. Nature don't care who you are, or what you drive, or who you voted for, or who you're friends with. Nature don't care.
Yeah, Wind Clan Ken said, "Don't go to the woods if you think you're going to a freaking petting zoo." 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I need to talk to him because he's Creek, and Angie up there is she's 25% Creek. So from Sisamipi.
Oh, Sisamipi.
I tell you, I've seen some people do some pretty stupid stuff in the wild, but I tell you one thing that gives me the heebies and the jeebies every freaking time is watching someone noodling for catfish.
No.
Ain't no way in hell I'm doing that.
No.
Well, there was a dude up on Lake of the Ozarks about 25 years ago, stuck his arm up underneath a bank and stuck his arm into a nest of cottonmouths.
No. There's no way, dude.
I've seen a lot of people do it. I ain't doing it.
Oh, I've seen people do it. I've seen people do all sorts of insane stuff.
There's all kinds of crap in there. Snapping turtles. If you ain't seen a Missouri alligator snapping turtle, you wouldn't want to get in the water if you seen one of them.
Dude, you'll lose a hand, man.
Yeah. And they will fight hard enough to sever bone.
Yeah, they can break a freaking 4-inch diameter limb.
Cajun Dog says, DA, you all see the dude get launched over a pickup and lost his britches? I've seen that one.
I have
Exactly. Cryptic Crystal says, what if it ain't a catfish? A lot of times it ain't.
not. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I ain't going to stick my hand in the mouth of a freaking alligator snapping turtle because you're going to draw back a bloody nub.
I grew up in the deepest, darkest South, rural South Mississippi. I ain't never had no desire to noodle a catfish.
No, thank you. Miss Lene says, or an alligator gar. I've only hooked an alligator gar one time. We were fishing live bait, and I hooked an alligator gar. And when I was in the boat, as soon as I realized what it was, I cut the damn line. I'm like, nope, he ain't getting in the boat.
No.
As soon as he broke the surface and I saw what it was, I just dropped what I was doing, grabbed my pocket knife, and cut that line.
I'll lose that bait.
Yeah, 10-cent minnow and a treble hook ain't worth that. Ain't worth it.
Yeah.
He can keep him.
So anyway, I started blasting. Yeah.
This garfish, that garfish good eating.
Oh yeah. There's folks that eat them things down where I grew up.
Yep.
You catch them. I mean, hell, they eat carp too. You catch
Why,
carp.
DA, you ever been gigging on the river? I've been gigging many a times.
Doc, you know as well as I do, Cajuns will cook and eat anything.
They'll make
That's
a gumbo out of anything. It's why the aliens don't land there.
Yeah.
My cousin put Nutri-Rat in his.
Ooh, get there in that pot.
Gumbo.
That one of us, I guarantee.
Roxanne says, DA is the one at Bass Pro, the biggest in Missouri, or is there another one? I think it's the state record. I think it's the biggest one ever caught. Now, I remember one time when I was about 17, there's a place down on the Niangua, not far from where you were at, Robbie, is on that same end of the Niangua, down past Bennett Springs. We referred to it as the Big Eddy. And it was just a place where the Niangua River eddies up and got real deep right there. We had a rope swing off the bluff. We would swing out off that. I went off that rope swing one time when I was about 17. And when I came up, a freaking alligator gar the size of a snapping turtle was about 3 feet away from me. And you talk about my country ass backpedaling as fast as I could. I was heading for shallow water and shore as fast as I could go, and it was coming right at me. I'm like, no. That thing was, I swear it was as big around as a manhole cover.
Good Lord.
It was big.
That's huge, man.
But I will say this. Snapping turtle pretty good eating. Snapping turtle is pretty good eating.
Yeah, my cousin Jeff down in Ponchatoula would probably agree with that. I mean, that dude, he'd eat anything.
Richie Evans says gator chili. Oh my God, have you ever tried? I've never had gator chili, but there was these roadside shops down in Louisiana last time I was down there, and they were selling what they called gator wings, and it was just the legs off the gators that they had battered up and fried. You got a two-piece. You get the drumstick, the lower part of the leg, and then the wing part. And it was a gator leg, but they had made it like a chicken wing. And I'm telling you, it was all I could do to eat one serving of them. And it was like $5 for a leg.
That's pretty good.
Good.
I've had gator sausage. That's tasty.
I've had gator tail. I've had the gator, what they call gator wings. Those were good.
I never had the wings.
Those were. If you ever next time you're down that way and you see a little roadside stand, it says gator wings. You need to stop and try them.
All right.
Because they are pretty damn good. Little bastards. Mm.
Next time we're avoiding Slidell, Doc.
Nah, you don't want to get them in Slidell. Everything tastes like creosote.
Yep. Well, we ain't going back to Slidell because I might not get Doc out of there.
We always fighting family members.
I'm sorry, I have forgotten her name.
Oh, mercy. Dude, it has already been almost 2 hours. I was just looking at the clock.
Holy moly.
Yep.
We've covered territory. We've also gotten way the hell off the rails.
We have. Yeah.
But it was at the end that we got off the rails. So, I mean, with the momentum we built up, we probably slid into the station.
Ish.
Jeff definitely want to try the gator wing, bud, because for the most part, the meat does taste like chicken, but the bones are like big old bones in it, and there's so much freaking meat, and it's real super tender. They cook them just like they do chicken wings. God dang, those things were good.
Huh.
And then I had another place that made po' boys by cooking just the gator leg and then stripping all the meat off of it and made po' boys that way.
I bet that's good.
It was good. Oh, I had a bad case of spicy butthole later that night.
And you forgot to eat the ice cream after you ate it, right?
Yeah, I can tell you for sure.
Oh, Lord. Whew. That's funny.
Doc's got the vapors.
I got the vapors.
Don Donaldson says, love some moose burgers. I've tried most species of ungulate, but I've never had moose. I love elk.
Yeah.
Elk is one of my favorites.
Moose is pretty good.
Ain't nothing better than a good elk steak.
I've had caribou. Oh, an elk steak's amazing. I've had caribou. I've had antelope.
Yeah.
Down in New Mexico, there was an antelope season, and they kind of taste like goat. I mean, they don't really taste like deer. They taste more like goat. In fact, a lot of locals call them speed goats.
Shark steak ain't bad if it's cooked right.
I only had shark once. When I was out in California, I was on leave when I was in the Army, and a buddy of mine was from San Diego, and went with him to meet his family, and they invited us to go to the beach, and there was a dude down there. They were catching those little I guess they call them reef sharks. I don't know what they are.
Black tip reef shark.
Yeah, they were catching them right there on the beach and cutting them up and cooking them right there on the beach and selling them. I had it. It was pretty good, but when people say everything tastes like chicken, shark don't. Shark tastes like shark.
Well, shark
don't taste like nothing else I ever had.
It's got to. I mean, it needs to be cooked right. I mean, but it's just like
it was good.
Other,
I mean, it was very well seasoned. It was tender, but it didn't taste like nothing I was not prepared. I was like,
yeah, that's like frog legs. People say, "Oh, frog legs taste like chicken." I was like, "No, it don't.
No, it don't.
It tastes like a fishy chicken. It tastes very swampy." So
it's a product of its environment.
Yeah, I had moose up in Maine. I was teaching the game wardens up there, and it was actually roadkill moose, which was actually even more redneck. But it was pretty good, pretty tasty.
The killing grill.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah,
pre-tenderized.
Yeah,
that's some of the worst.
Have you ever seen the backstrap on a moose?
I ate it.
Oh, I saw pictures of this. It was like a 16-year-old girl in Montana. She got the state record moose for last year and had a picture of her holding the backstrap up. She was holding it with her arms like out wide, like
it's huge,
past shoulder length, and the backstrap was almost touching the ground on both sides of her.
Dude,
she looked like she's probably 5'6", 5'7". She wasn't a small girl.
Yeah, we had like 24 dudes on the range, and we was all eating that moose backstrap. They cut it up into about 3/4 inch thickness, because they said if you get it too thick, it'll be tough when you cook it. Mm-hmm. So you eat it kind of medium rare, and it was fine, man. It was really freaking tasty.
Last time we got elk, we took the backstrap and cut it up in sections and marinated it, and then wrapped it in bacon and slow smoked it.
Ooh.
Put a little jalapeno glaze on it.
I bet that's fine.
Jeff, I gotta disagree with you.
We kind of overdid it with the jalapeno, and that was another case of spicy butthole.
Yeah. Mara just said, Mara Rods, I made kangaroo meatballs last week. It's an interesting meat. I'd try it.
Yeah, I've had kangaroo steak.
I've never had it, but I'd try it.
It's pretty good. And why? Yes, emu. I was just about to say emu is amazing.
Emu and the ostrich, both of them's pretty good.
Emu is amazing. That's some of the best. We got fowl, I guess, is bird meat. That's some of the best bird meat that I've ever had.
Cat's pretty good. I'm just kidding. I've never had a cat.
That you know of. You ever eaten? You ever eaten Asian
Never had
restaurant.
Chinese food? Then you
Yeah.
may have had cat.
May have.
Meow have.
Squirrel's good.
I love
Squirrel's
squirrel dumplings.
Oh man, pan-fried squirrel and eggs for breakfast.
Shoot, my great grandma used to make squirrel dumplings. Oh my god.
Little
We
tree
used, to,
rat.
we used to take the squirrel and like pressure cook it, then pick all the meat off of it and put it in brown beans.
My mama did that. She'd do squirrel and gravy in a pressure cooker and put it over rice.
Mm-hmm.
Red eye gravy.
Son, it was fine.
You know, not everybody knows what red eye gravy is.
I do.
That's good stuff.
I like it. Lord have mercy. We have gone way off the cryptid rails into a cookbook.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, we do need to get that done. I need to send my recipes to Miss Lene so she can help me get them all straightened out. Because I probably got enough to fill a cookbook.
Well,
I have not compiled them.
Robbie sent you some. I've sent you some. So
I had
yeah.
a whole bunch of my own.
Yeah.
And if we actually do it, I will include the recipe for Jay Matoska's coffee.
You've been threatening that for years.
Doc, remember he's done told us though.
You guys know what it is.
I know.
We, the chosen few, know the secret now.
Wow. What an interesting show.
Kay Bauer says canned raccoon and possum fat gravy. I've had raccoon. My family used to hunt raccoon, and back in the 70s, my family was poor as church mice. When I say we were poor, I didn't own a pair of blue jeans that didn't go through 3 brothers before me until I was 16 and started buying my own clothes.
Wow.
Yeah, until I got a job and started buying my own school clothes. All my stuff were hand-me-downs from multiple brothers. So, when I say we was poor as church mice, we was poor as church mice. If we didn't grow it or raise it there on our little farm, we generally didn't eat it. Going out to eat, we just didn't do it, never. And we would get with if you're gonna eat a possum though, possum will eat almost anything, and possum will taste really rough. The only way you can really stand to eat possum. And possum is like a last ditch meal for me. But if you're going to eat possum, you need to pin that sucker up for about a week or two and feed him nothing but greens. Don't let him be eating garbage or all that other stuff. After about a week or two, most of that gaminess flavor will come out of him if you're feeding him good corn and different grains. The meat will clean up and it's tolerable. But I won't ever say possum or raccoon is good. It's edible. It beats starving.
As I say, keep you from dying.
Yeah. It is not on my recommended list of things I would eat.
If you can manage it, the bushy tail tree rat is better than
Squirrel is much better than either of them.
Correct.
Squirrel, if cooked right, kind of tastes like ham.
you just got to make sure you get them after the first freeze.
Yep. Otherwise,
The wolf.
You got the bot flies and the wolves.
yep. I've gotten a rabbit or two when there hadn't been a good freeze and open them up and we're like, nope, not eating that.
That's nasty.
Miss Lene says that the meat's
Nasty.
gamey, soak it in salt water. We would soak it in buttermilk.
That's what my mama soaked it in, was buttermilk.
We'd always put like deer loin and slice it up, put it in a big Ziploc bag and cover it completely with buttermilk. Leave it in the back of the fridge for a few days. Took that gaminess right out of it.
My granny had an extra milk bucket, and during hunting season, she'd take 2 buckets out and she'd milk 1 bucket for the for whatever drinking, cooking, all that kind of stuff, and she'd milk another bucket full to put like you talk about, put meat in and stuff like that to season it or do whatever.
Wyatt mentioned rabbit and duck, both very good. Duck's greasy, but still good.
Yeah.
Duck ain't like chicken though. Don't go into eating duck thinking it's going to taste just like chicken, because it don't. Same thing with goose.
It's
Goose
smiling at me.
Goose is really good, but it's also very greasy. Why, you don't like goose?
No, the
Not
Christmas
particularly.
Christmas story.
Yeah.
Who you not like? It's smiling at me. Whack. What a great
You know,
movie.
that was an unscripted moment.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So was the singing. The fa
Yep.
ra 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 ra. That was not. That's why old Kolchak was holding in his laugh.
Oh Lord.
Pete, I don't know when the cookbook's coming out. I really do have enough recipes to do it, but I've never done a cookbook. Miss Lene said she can compile the recipes for me, but I need to write all the filler that goes in. Like this is the story behind this recipe and this kind of thing, and that's probably going to be a bit of a project, especially if I'm trying to keep up with all my other projects. So I don't want to commit to any kind of time frame, but I will get with Miss Lene and send her a whole passel of these recipes and see if she can make head and or tails out of them, and then I'll start trying to fill them in. And we need to just kind of figure out a way we want to break them down, whether they be like, oh, we could break them down by series. Lakeview Man recipes, Dark Frontiers recipes, and those would be the old cowboy recipes. Because I could put my recipe for Cowboy Sloppy Joes in there.
Yeah, we had them. It was tasty.
Mm-hmm.
And my pecan pie.
That pecan pie.
And some cornbread. Come on.
Oh man, you can't go wrong with good cornbread.
No, sir.
Boys, you're making me hungry.
I know, man. I'm sitting there looking like, man, it's 10 after 9.
Little Patty wants cowboy beans too. I've got a really good recipe for cowboy beans. Justin says Justin Oldfart says you got to start measuring stuff to make a cookbook. Hey, I cook like my mother did. I just keep putting stuff in until my ancestors tell me it's enough.
Roxanne, you ain't had my pecan pie. It ain't a bunch of syrup. It's delicious. Better take you some insulin before you eat it, though.
Bobby Preston says jalapeno cornbread is the bomb. That sounds good.
Wyatt, I'll send you my recipe. It's fine. We don't use no hydrogenated.
My mom used to get a bowl of cornbread and milk all the time. Eat it like cereal.
Daddy did too.
Yep.
Daddy said when he was, kid growing up with depression, that and some cornbread with some soured milk was all they'd have for supper.
Yep. I every night I spent the night with my great grandparents. Granny would make Pac a glass of buttermilk and cornbread, and he.
Yep.
I'd see him in there doing it.
When we would do deer camp when I was a kid, we would start the fire on day one of deer camp, and had this big old look like from Shakespeare, the witches from Shakespeare, a big cauldron. It was just a big kettle, and we'd put that sucker on the fire and start a thing of rabbit stew right there, and just keep adding ingredients to it for like the course of the next week.
Ooh, I bet that's fine.
It was pretty tasty, especially the closer to the end of the week you got, because it had more time to kind of come together. And that's good stuff.
I bet that's good. That's fine.
When Clan Ken says it's a sin not to make cornbread in a cast iron, it's a sin not to make cornbread in a cast iron skillet.
Fact. I got my grandma's cast iron skillet. Still using it for my cornbread, and my dressing and everything else.
Bobby Presnell says Cowboy Kent Rollins has some really good cooking videos. I love that dude. I met him.
I do too.
He's a super nice dude. I met him at Silver Dollar City. They had a chuck wagon competition down at Silver Dollar City a few years ago, and I got one of his cookbooks. I got some pictures of me with him somewhere, but I got one of his cookbooks, got him to sign it, and I've got all of his cookbooks now. But at the time that I bought the first one from him and had him sign it and talk to him and got to try his coffee, and I will say his coffee is good, but it's not Jay Matoska coffee. He talks about his cowboy coffee, and it is good. I will not say it is not good coffee. It was a damn fine cup of coffee, but I think the Jay Matoska coffee is better.
Yes. I like me some Arbuckles. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, y'all, it is after 10. We ought to probably start winding things down.
It are.
Before we wind her completely down, Doc, since you're here, let's get a little shameless plug for Dark Angel Medical, and then we'll mention a couple of our other affiliates before we wind things down. So you go right ahead, Doc.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, brother. So Dark Angel Medical is my little shop, and we are a service-connected, disabled, veteran-owned shop. There's one of our hats we have on our store right now, and we sell anything from your minor first aid kits all the way up to your mass casualty kits and your personal trauma kits. This right here is the Spear kit. And this has got if you put in your Cryptid code, your coupon code, Cryptid20 for 20% off, and put in the order notes, Team Odin, I'll send you one of these fancy schmancy little rockers to go on your kit there. This is, like I said, this is the Spear kit, and we pride ourselves on having the best kits in the business. We also train you. So if you want to have a class in your area, or if there is a class in your area, look us up on our website. And on our website, and check us out, see where we're going to be. We're HSA, FSA approved. So if you have those HSA or FSA accounts, let us just go ahead and throw an order in. It's eligible. And we have our exclusive, what is it, boys?
Kit for life guarantee.
Kit for life guarantee. So if you use one of our
boxes.
That's right, birthdays and boxes, man. Use one of our kits to save a life. We will 100% take care of what you have utilized, absolutely 100% free of charge. So you let us know what you have used, we'll cover it. So there's your kit for life guarantee. So head over to darkangelmedical.com and place that order, because the life you save may be your own.
Be the
someone
difference.
You care about.
They're just a guy who, how many saved are there now, Doc? 205.
Hell yeah.
205.
Be the difference.
Doc out there making a difference.
Yep. So if you go out there in the woods, or you're on the roads, or you're in your boat, or your recreational vehicle, we got the kit for you. So check them out.
Also, y'all, don't forget to check out Scallywag Tactical. They're another one of our affiliates, veteran-owned company. Craig's just an awesome dude. They've got a ton of new blades. Just when I thought I had most of them, they went and added a whole crap load. But they've got some amazing knives, and check them out because they're rotating new ones in and out all the time. So check out Scallywag Tactical. Use discount code DARoberts10 at your checkout. You get 10% off your entire order. That includes the blemish blades. And if you guys are coffee drinkers like me, they have what they call the camp kit for making French press coffee. And I'm telling you, if you ain't French press coffee, you ain't had coffee. Because I love my own percolator, but that French press makes coffee so good. Oh man, it is so good. But yeah, definitely check them out. And don't forget to check out the good folks over at sigwoarms.com. I don't have a pop-up on the screen. If you're into pew-pews, or you're a serious shooter, they got cans, they've got AR builds, they've got custom pretty much anything. Hit them up. They're local company, veteran-owned company, awesome group of guys. And they will go out of their way to help you. And their ammo prices are the best in our area. I just went over and picked up a few myself the other day. But check out sigwoarms.com. And if you reach out to them or call them, ask for Cody, and they will be getting us a discount code soon. But if you want a pew with the codename Wild Hunt logos on it, they are your guys. They will be doing all the officially licensed codename Wild Hunt modifications on pews. So check them out and let them know we sent you. But I would be remiss, as Doc would say, if I did not mention the 22 a Day Foundation. It's a subject that is always near and dear to my heart. Being a veteran myself, Doc's a veteran, being a veteran of law enforcement, Robbie's a veteran of law enforcement, still active. This hits me close to the heart because I've buried a lot of friends under flags over the years. And to be honest, I hope the next folded flag ceremony I'm at is for me, because I really hate seeing it. And hopefully mine's a good number of years away. But, you know, we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is just unspeakably cruel. I mean, these guys, these men and women gave everything. Some gave everything up to and including their life so we can be free and we can be safe. And we owe them a debt of gratitude. We owe them our respect. We owe them our love. And reach out to the folks that you know that have worn a uniform. I don't care what capacity. Reach out to them. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care, because you never know when that one phone call might be the one thing that keeps them off the edge. And check on the people that you think don't need it, because oftentimes they're the ones that need it the most. You know, I read something when they was talking about, read a quote from Robin Williams on Facebook one time, and it really struck home. It said, I've never, if you talk to somebody who's depressed, they'll tell you they've never faked being depressed, but they faked being okay an awful lot. And
100%.
Yeah, a lot of guys and gals just hanging on by the skin of their teeth or the tips of their fingernails. And 22 times a day, they lose that battle. And let's get that number down to 0, folks. Let's do everything we can to get that number down to 0.
Amen.
So, you know, in the spirit of that, I'm gonna do a little summoning ritual on Doc and pour myself a little snort of something, a little snort of bourbon. And you know what, Doc, would you mind closing us out with the toast?
I would not, sir.
I'll bring her up.
Yeah. Put a little bit of Doc Holliday's favorite old Overholt in the glass. And this is from an old Irish drinking song. DA is going to bring up the lyrics. So everybody take your hat off, whatever you have to drink. And we're going to say this to our friends who are no longer with us, but fondly remembered. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. Sláinte.
Sláinte. Good night, everybody. And we'll see you guys on Saturday night.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAExMachiNation. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.